Wonder Woman is arguably the best film that the DCEU has to offer, and almost feels out of place within the franchise with how colorful it was and the rather uplifting message it had. But now that the DCEU has come to a rather lackluster close and is getting rebooted, I want to take a look at the beautiful narrative of Wonder Woman, as I think it truly succeeded in a lot of areas that other DCEU films overlooked or neglected. The biggest strength of this film, in my opinion, is the romance storyline between Diana and Steve. I think it feels very authentic and natural, as they have quite a few genuinely cute and endearing moments. And I like the power dynamic between the two as well, because while Diana is physically strong and protects Steve in that way on a few occasions, Steve is familiar with the outside world and introduces Diana to the world's customs, how to act, and has all the interpersonal connections to get her closer to her goal. And this kind of fish out of water scenario works so well for the film, because Diana is powerful enough to not be physically threatened easily, so putting her in a situation that's out of her comfort zone forces non-physical obstacles upon her, obstacles and scenarios that she can't simply brute force her way out of. And this power dynamic where both Diana and Steve bring unique and necessary strengths to the table just makes the romance work even better, as it really feels like they are a perfect fit together and in a way complete each other. And this only makes it even more tragic when Steve sacrifices himself in the third act, as he was not only just likable, but was such a good partner for Diana. So we as an audience aren't just sad to lose such a fun character, but we're also sad for Diana. And this should be a main goal of any film, because if you can get me as a viewer to feel sorrow for a fictional character, you're definitely doing your job. The sequence where Steve sacrifices himself was also just so well done, as making his last words inaudible at first was such a nice touch. And I love that these final words from Steve ultimately serve to fuel Diana in her final fight. The main negative thing people talk about within this film is that the villain is really forgettable. And while that's not incorrect, Ares is a bit of a forgettable villain, and looks pretty unimpressive when we first meet him. Dr. Poison is also fairly unremarkable, but I think the mystery around whether or not Ares actually exists works really well and compensates for this weakness. You see, I thought it was a realistic possibility for Ares to not be alive and for that to be the big twist of the film, where Diana realizes that while Ares is no longer alive, his impact lives on. Which could have been a good end note, as this would serve as a good catalyst for her to want to become a superhero moving forward, and to slowly chip away and eventually eradicate the effects Ares had on mankind. So because I felt like this was a possibility, I think it really added to the intrigue of the film, almost kind of similar to The Conjuring 2, where they added in the additional twist that the demonic possession might be a hoax. So even though The Conjuring 2 follows a lot of the same beats as its predecessor, it still feels fresh. And this is very much the case with Wonder Woman, where even though it has narrative similarities to other superhero films like Captain America: The First Avenger and the first Thor film, it still feels different and fresh. And I think this added mystery of whether or not the villain truly exists is a leading reason as to why. The directing and cinematography is also really on point in this film. The scene where Diana runs out of the trench into the battle looks incredible and is a highlight of the film. But I also like that she inspires others to join her and follow her lead. I think heroes who lead by example are the easiest to root for, and she certainly displays all of the traits of a great leader here. Also, after witnessing her charge across the battlefield towards a machine gun, Steve and crew start to wonder if Ares might actually be behind the war. And this works to show that Diana is a strong leader who can inspire others, but also adds to the mystery of the film and further builds up suspense as to whether or not Ares is actually real. Which leads us to the moment where Diana plunges her sword into who she thought to be Ares, which ends up being a great moment because it tests her resolve and her beliefs, when nothing changes after killing him. This naturally leads her to start to question whether or not Ares was nothing more than a lie, and the person to restore her belief in the world and drag her out of this dark mindset is of course Steve. As throughout the film, Diana has slowly instilled hope into Steve, to the point where he has gone from a deeply mistrusting spy to someone who believes in ridding the world of war and Diana's mission. So much so that he's now the one lecturing Diana about the very goal he didn't even believe in at the start of the film. And this is a really great full circle moment that only increases their likability as a romantic couple and shows the positive impact that Diana can have on others. Now, you've probably noticed that I've been referring to our lead character as Diana and not Wonder Woman throughout the video so far, and that has been very intentional. I think it's very easy, especially when adapting these sort of iconic, larger-than-life characters, to get lost in how awe-inspiring and cool they have to be. I feel like a lot of action films will often come up with action scenes and sequences, and then write the film's plot around those set pieces, and this is definitely not the case with Wonder Woman. I think it's very clear that Diana's character arc and progression was front of mind when the script was written, as she goes from an isolated and naive young woman at the start of the film, to an experienced and battle-tested hero who found their inner physical strength and developed great mental fortitude to keep moving forward even when presented with tragic loss. And I think this character arc is the heart and soul of the film, and is summed up beautifully by Diana herself towards the end of the film. I used to want to save the world, to end war and bring peace to mankind, but then I glimpsed the darkness that lives within their light, and learned that inside every one of them, there will always be both. A choice each must make for themselves, something no hero will ever defeat, and now I know that only love can truly save the world. This is such a beautiful note to end on, as Diana did very much think that she could save the world through violence and physically defeating Ares, but by the end she realizes that the only way to truly defeat Ares' influence and eradicate the dark hold he has on mankind is through love and embracing the positive aspects of mankind. So she continues her fight not to eradicate evil, but to inspire love, such as the love she experienced with Steve. And this is one of the best character arcs in any superhero film in my humble opinion. All in all, I think Wonder Woman is a film that was written with the character arc of our main lead at the forefront of everyone's mind, and it really shows. Diana matures, finds her inner emotional, mental, and physical strength, and also learns how to inspire others and become a true leader. The romance between our lead and Steve is also excellently used to aid in Diana's journey and development, and is perhaps the most integral and best written aspect of the film. And it still shines as a standout film, even as the superhero genre becomes increasingly oversaturated over time. If you made it this far, thank you for watching, and if you enjoyed this analysis of Wonder Woman, please feel free to drop a like or subscribe, and if you agree, disagree, or just have general Wonder Woman thoughts, as always, I'd love to hear them in the comments.